All right, how you doing, guys? This is Frisbee Sports. Making a video talking about the national championship game. This is going to be a recap of that game. Um, this game was shocking. But before we get into that, I want to apologize if you hear something that sounds like a freaking tree falling. The weather here sucks, so not much I can do about that. It's windy and rainy, but we'll get through it. Hopefully it doesn't sound too bad. Um, before I get into the game, I just want to say I've been waiting to do this video all day. Can't wait to talk about it. So before let's get in the freaking video. Clemson Tigers go into this game 14-0 ACC champs. Alabama 14-0 SEC champs. And I'll get to you SEC fans, don't worry. Um, Final score of this game 44-16 Clemson. Let that sink in. 44-16 Clemson. Nick Saban gets blown out in the national championship game. Holy crap. All right. This was a crazy game. I think, not many people gave Clemson as big of a chance to win this game. I mean, obviously, thought they'd have a fighting chance. If you believe it, you can do it. Um, you know, Dabo Sweeney said that in his post game. Said they went into that game believing they could and would win that. And you see what happened. Um, I feel like Nick Saban going into that game just kind of had an attitude of, well, we're Alabama. We're going to win this game. Pride cometh before the fall. And I think that's what you see. You can talk about the past national championships all you want. That's all well and good. But you got to be better prepared, better ready, which is prepared. But you got to be ready for this game. You can't just go into it expecting to win, and that comes down to coaching. Nick Saban got out coached, and this game is going to go down in history for both of these coaches as one of the key monumental wins in Dabo Swinney's career. And this is going to look bad on Nick Saban's resume. And I'm not saying Nick Saban's a bad coach. I'm not that dumb, but this does not look good at all for him. A little bit about the game itself before we get into stats and stuff here. Um, you know, Clemson came out early and set the tone for this game. They lit the spark that lit the fire under this Clemson team to get going. The pick six off of Tua Tagovailoa, first couple plays of the game. I know on his post game he mentioned, he wasn't confused. He claims, he said it was just his mistake. Um, but I do think he was confused. I think he went in thinking it was man defense when it was actually zone. Pick guy stepped up, pick six, start the game. So great start for Clemson. Alabama would go on to answer next drive with a touchdown. Um, then they ended up missing a field goal to drive after that. To me, it felt like Nick Saban just didn't really care about this game. And I know that sounds crazy, but every time I seen him, the normally mad, red face, throwing a headset Nick Saban didn't look too upset. I mean, he looked disappointed, but I wouldn't say he was mad. Um, that might sound crazy, but that's just my opinion on it. This game looked like it was going to be shootout early on, and I do think Alabama was surprised, but I do think that Clemson, after the score or on the pick six, the score, and then they just kept it rolling. Lawrence, freshman, comes in replacing Kelly Bryant. He's done a phenomenal job. ETN had himself a game. Ross had an amazing catch. The one-hander on the sideline. Um, Clemson went into this game not afraid of Alabama, the big bad dog from the SEC. Um, and they were just more prepared. It there's nothing more you can say about it. It's just they Clemson dominated the line of scrimmage every single play. Alabama, who has a pretty good, defense. They're not the best Alabama defense that you've seen, but they are good defense. They got 0 sacks on the freshman Trevor Lawrence. Clemson got 2 sacks, and they're missing Dexter Lawrence in this game. Um, third down efficiency, Clemson was 10 of 15. Alabama was 4 of 13. If you're Alabama, you got to convert because Clemson was rolling in this game, and it was just not going good for Alabama. Every time Clemson needed that big time throw, big time run, they were just doing it, and they were bullying Alabama. It was amazing to watch. As far as the quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence was 20 of 32, 347 yards, 3 TDs, no picks. Tua Tagovailoa, 22 of 34, 295 yards, 2 TDs to 2 interceptions. Obviously, that first pick to get Clemson their first score of the game that set the tone. Tua didn't have his best game. Now, will it hurt Tua? When it comes time to talking about, great Alabama quarterbacks. No, it's not going to hurt him. He's a heck of a quarterback, But I do think that I think he got caught up with the idea that, he's just going to walk and win this game, and I can't blame him. I mean, you're Alabama, you're steamrolling everybody. ETN was 14 carries, 86 yards, 2 TDs. He had himself a heck of a game. I mentioned Ross. He was 6 receptions, 135 or 153 yards, excuse me, 1 TD. Basically, the story of this game to me was Alabama got bullied and manhandled by Clemson from the start. I think Clemson just wanted it more. I think they had a heart in this game. They wanted to just dominate, and they did. This was a very, very surprising game. And it's really weird because if you look at the stats, I got the stats pulled up here. Everything's really close. I mean, time of possession, it was 28 minutes to 23. I read that right. No, I read that wrong. It was 28.23 seconds. 28 minutes, 23 seconds, good Lord, to 31 minutes, 37 seconds. And Alabama actually had the ball more. It's because Clemson was scoring so fast. Alabama had two costly turnovers. First downs, Clemson was 21. Alabama had 23. This game was it was really weird because you're not used to seeing an Alabama team get manhandled like they did. And Dabo Swinney said in his post game, we went into this game believing we had a chance to win and we believed we were going to win. And, that's the key. You can't go in afraid, you've seen they were not afraid and they came in gunning for Tua, talking about that Clemson defense. And they were without their best player. They stepped up and they stepped up big in this game. Nick Saban got out coached. Dabo had that team ready to go. They looked like they looked like they were beyond well prepared. Whereas Alabama kind of looked like they just, we'll practice a little bit, about it, but it did not look like Nick Saban had that team ready. And to be honest with you, it didn't look like they wanted to win. And that sounds dumb saying they didn't want to win another national title. But if you watch the game, Clemson had more heart. Who wanted it more? Clemson did. That's why they won. Not much more really to say about this game. Other than this, not only did Clemson make history with winning the national title 2 times, the only team to win it 2 times. If I'm not mistaken, they're the only team to win it 2 times. But Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Alabama did too. I don't know. Anyway, but not only that, freshman quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Now, there's a lot of people who've not watched college football looked at this guy going, man, he is the ugliest quarterback I've ever seen. And I can't blame you. You know, he's the ugliest quarterback to ever win a national championship. But he is a heck of a player. He stepped in and he filled the shoes of Kelly Bryant, and he took over. Um, and he's going to have a heck of a future to come. To the people saying, excuse me, to the people saying that the Alabama dynasty's gone, it's over. It's far from gone. You know, they have the number one recruiting class year after year after year after year. They had it this year. Um, you know, they actually flipped Jordan Battle from Ohio State to Alabama, which, you know, still upset about that. You know, not that it matters with this game, but, you know, wrapping this up, not really much more I could say about this game other than the team that wanted it more won. And felt good watching Alabama get dominated. So, I will say this: as far as the podcast, I know I said yesterday about the podcast. I decided I'm just gonna split it up into videos. Um, you know, there's no point in doing an hour-long podcast. But so, with that being said, there's not much more to say other than look forward to new Browns coach looking soon. I know Freddie Kitchens. I just got the alert. Freddie Kitchens um, is one of the top two being considered for the Browns job. So we'll see how that works out. I didn't hear anything about Greg Williams. I did think that Freddie Kitchens, if it was me, I'd probably have Williams back another year, Kitchens in the waiting, and then have Kitchens next year. But you know what? Why not? If he's the coach for the future and you believe in him, which I agree. Talk about a guy who came out of nowhere, running backs coach, quarterback at Alabama. There you go. That relates kind of. But stepped in offense coordinator job after Haley got fired, and you've seen how that turnaround has gone. But enough about that. We'll talk about that later. So once again, recap of the Clemson Alabama game. Final score 44-16. Dabo Swinney gets another championship. You're going to look back at this as Nick Saban's probably worst loss of his career, most embarrassing loss. And this is going to look as one of Dabo's best games. So yeah, enough of that. Appreciate you watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate it. Turn on notifications. Look for more videos to come soon.